Hi, it's John. It's the 15th of October 2013 and on UK television, BBC, you get a lot of programmes like Synth Britannia, Punk Britannia, Rock Britannia, Pop Britannia. So it's like the British music scene sort of over the different decades. And they've just had one on Synth Britannia, and it's about sort of synthesizer music of the 1970s. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. But one thing that is quite interesting is a lot of the music seems to be inspired by what they call dystopia. Now, I had to look that up on Wikipedia to find out what dystopia was. And dystopia is the opposite of utopia. So dystopia is a bit like 1984, H.G. Wells' 1984, where people become alienated from society and perhaps they're ruled by robots or androids. But one of the funny things about it is these bands, like they're inspired by this sort of dystopian view of the world, everybody's against them, and then they become famous, and then everything's all right then, and they get their mansion and they're living in their own little utopia. Utopian views go back to the time of Plato, the Greek philosopher, and in the 16th century Sir Thomas More wrote a book entitled Utopia. So that was a big thought in those days. But going back to the BBC programmes Punk Britannia and Synth Britannia, you look at the pictures of the 1970s and the concrete jungle, and it sounds absolutely terrible. You can see why dystopianism was fashionable, because it certainly did not look like a utopia. And one part of the definition of a dystopian society is when people become functionaries. They're no longer a person, but they just produce something and they function in society. And this is seen as not good. So I would say if we compare the 2010 decade with the 1970s decade, it seems like, well, certainly in my opinion, or in my situation, it seems like utopia, because ample money about, and people can be people. But this obviously isn't the case for everybody, and it just depends on a person's situation. This could be heaven or this could be hell. I can't remember what song that comes from. And in many regards, we make our own heaven and hell. The journey of life, the journey of hard knocks. If one persists in doing wrong things, or doing things that aren't beneficial to oneself or those around, or to oneself presumably, one will probably find oneself in hell. It's a canny old thing, isn't it, life? You have to slip and slide. You make your own heaven and hell, to a certain extent. I mean, compared to the time before medicine and antibiotics and anaesthetics, I mean, this is heaven, isn't it? I mean, you talk to somebody from the Middle Ages who's dying of syphilis or some such disease, and they'll laugh at you if you complained about the way the world is in 2013. One last point. I mean, if you think of some situations where people have been in hell, like in the First World War or Second World War for that matter, you know, what is it they want to get back to? What is it they want to recreate after the war? They want to get back to family life, have a secure family and children, and just be in a family and loved, and that's all that people want. That is utopia. Being in a family, surrounded by those who love you. You know, people go to they leave the country, go to America, you know, to set up a new world in America. And they want to do the same thing. You know, they want to have a secure family, homestead, and be surrounded by those who love and support them.